All right, here we go. We're going to do a transmission filter and gasket change out. It's really easy. A 97 Ford F150 here. And I jacked it all the way up because I'm going to do a tire rotation also at the same time. It's always good to do while you're working if it's due for another maintenance. So I already started going on this and remembered, oh, let me take a video. So we basically, you get underneath, you got 10mm bolts, and if you have an air compressor, handy little tool here, helps it go a lot quicker. So you get up underneath here and you start taking the bolts out. The key, whoops, sorry about that. The key to remember is basically you want to take it out exactly how it's looking here. And let me see if I can zoom out on this. Sorry about the video. Take it out. There we go. So you want to take the bolts out, and where the cross member here, you kind of want to leave one or two bolts in, loosen them up, and that way you can get your oil pan. It's normally up here, and as it comes down, you position your drain pan out over here, and it doesn't create a very big mess, and you catch everything as it's tilted out. And then lastly, you take out the last bolt. You need two hands, obviously, but you take out the last bolt, which I have just sitting right up in here, and then you gently take it down and put the rest of the fluid into your drain pan, and it keeps you from making a huge mess. Okay, once you get the drain pan down, then you have your filter. It sits right here. Oh, let me reach up in here, and it just pops out of here. And you're still going to have some fluid in here. Take this out and put it in your drain pan, and then you can remove it. I put it back in. I already took the gasket off. I put it back in for the purpose of the video. And you want to clean this up real nice, and I'll show you. So then you want to clean up your pan here, wipe it up, and especially where there's a lot of like kind of, it looks like graphite, but it's bits and pieces, small particulates of the transmission over wear and tear. And you want to clean this up real good. You want to take off this magnet right here. You want to take the magnet off and wipe it down real good, and clean it up really well so that when you put your new gasket on, it'll adhere well. Okay, so I'll take a little heavy-duty degreaser and just spray a little on the rag right here to wipe up around, get that grease off the edge so the gasket really seals good. It's a rubber gasket. By the way, the guy at the automotive store, he tried to sell me gasket sealant in a tube, and I'm like, well, yeah, this gasket doesn't need sealant, and he didn't realize it. So don't let them sell you a tube of gasket sealant for another $3. He wasn't sure what was going on, I guess. So also, when you're finished with that, you want to get in here and also wipe up this surface of the gasket that mats to it, and take that rag and wipe that up so it cleans up really well, and you'll have a good surface with no leaks when you tighten up your bolts. Okay, a quick tip here. See, on the new filter, there's a little O-ring, that orange. Well, when I took mine, or when mine fell out, it was still left up in there. If you can see it, yeah, you can see it right there. So you can just take a little screwdriver like such, and then just kind of pry this thing out of there like so. And make sure you don't try to put the new one in with the old O-ring. That would be bad. All right, so next you take your gasket out and then you line it up. And hopefully it's the right one, but it all lines up in the right holes. And then the tricky part is to, hold it up underneath there, which I can't video. I have two hands and need to use both of them. And just try to get one bolt in. And it's always good to go ahead and use your extension and socket, and put the bolt in the end right here. And then as you're up in there, you can use the extension and socket to help trying to turn. And actually, I'm going to take my gloves off so I have a better grip to turn this, because this transmission fluid is very slippery, which is why it works so well. So the best way to do this then is to take the gasket and go ahead and take the bolts and line them all up into the holes and push them up, and they'll go through and they'll hold the bolt. The gasket will actually hold the bolts for you. That way everything's lined up perfect. Then you can set it up on there and then start by just turning a couple, 2 or 3 turns by hand using your extension and get all of them lined up and started threading before you start screwing them all down. And then when you actually tighten it down, you want to tighten it down in a crisscross pattern. You know, start on one end here and then go to the opposite side and then come back over here to the right and then go back to the left, you know, crisscrossing across the whole way to have an even alignment as you tighten up your pan to your transmission. Okay, once you get the pan all up there, and I would suggest doing it by hand most of the way, and then once it's up you can kind of hit it with the wrench, the air torque gun real quick, but don't tighten it down. Use a torque wrench, torque it to about 100 and you can Google it. I think it came, I'm going to do it about 115 inch-pounds. Use a 1/4 inch drive and we should be set. Alright, well, last but not least, definitely do not forget to refill your transmission with the appropriate transmission fluid. I have a Mercon 5, and just pull your little dipstick out and have a nice handy little bitty filter so it fits right in there. You can get any kind like you like and pop it on there and refill it. And it says for me for 5 quarts a refill, and then after you're done, run the vehicle, get it warm, and then recheck your levels with your dipstick. Make sure you're in the proper specs. Hope you enjoyed it and save you some money on a real easy transmission filter and fluid change.